G'day, Brian. It's good to see you again and wax lyrical about the energy transition trends that we're obviously intimately involved in currently. Would you mind giving a bit of an introduction to your background and experience?
My background began in the early days in mineral processing technologies, but for the last 15 years I've spent focusing on energy transition, primarily for mining and oil and gas companies, and everything that's involved with the changes in regulation and changes in emissions reduction processes and techniques and policies that were coming through, and a large way into what can be done practically on site, whether it's behind the meter renewable projects, energy efficiency projects, looking at electrification projects, hydrogen, whatever it is around the actual site reductions, physical reductions that we can apply across the sector.
My name is Peter Mann. I am the Partners in Performance Energy Transition Practice Lead for Australia and New Zealand, and Brian and I spend a lot of time talking and in this new world, some of it virtual, some of it face-to-face. How do you see batteries changing the landscape over the next few years?
The really important thing to keep in mind around batteries is they can do many things. So the batteries are already in and it really comes back to the frequency of time, of length of storage is really the sort of core metric in utilisation and what you do with it. So batteries are already making sense now as very short duration tools, things that solve frequency and voltage in energy markets or fix spinning reserve problems in microgrids. So they're already in the money. The next step is really a load shift battery, something that takes a bit of the solar and pushes it to the evening, gives you 2 to 4 hours, and they're starting to make sense. We're seeing that come down. The big future battery opportunity coming is what we call the sort of the deep storage area, where batteries are now able to store for half a day or days, and they can really smooth out a lot of the renewable energy requirements, and that pushes you up into the 80-90% renewable penetration into either a microgrid or a macrogrid.
Okay, so where do you see electric vehicles which are coming into the market and the ability for vehicle-to-grid technologies to be harnessed fitting in to that mix?
Electric vehicles, when you start contemplating a world which we look at where we just anecdotally talk to people in the street, everyone's thinking about when they're going to get their electric vehicle, not if they're going to get their electric vehicle. And you look at the sales trajectories, or at least the marketing plans of the car companies, they're all talking 23, 2025 when these things start to kick out. Then if you apply, if everyone's thinking about electric vehicles sometime in the next 5 to 15 years, what does that mean in storage, in terms of storage capacity? And we are literally talking about days of storage will be coming onto our grid. So that deep storage part that I talked about hadn't been solved yet. We see electric vehicles really being as the final wedge that can really bring deep storage to our grids and really allow us to get very, very high renewable percentages.
How do organisations actually start to think about opportunities that these batteries can actually provide for them?
At the early end, if you're running a bunch of generators in a microgrid, you should have a battery in there because you should be managing a spinning reserve today. If you're looking at putting renewable energy into your grid, whether it's solar or wind in behind the meter or in front of the meter, a little bit of battery to shift that renewable energy to take advantage of peak prices or smooth things out is making sense in that context with a bit of renewable energy. If you're thinking about where your fleet is going, you should be now looking at your total cost of ownership of those fleets, because when you start thinking that the vehicles will not only be a tool for moving people around, they're also going to be a tool of deep storage within our energy grids. You need to start bringing that into the equation for your total cost of ownership to really understand whether you should be investing in fleet today, which has got electrification already in mind.
Thanks, Brian. Really insightful and a simple explanation of the trends of batteries, the impacts they're going to have on our entire energy network, and the opportunities that organisations can use to leverage today and prepare themselves for the future. So thank you.